This is Chris from North Innsbruck, and you're listening to Two Poor Bastards.
Two Poor Bastards contains explicit content and drunken ramblings. Listener discretion is advised. You are listening to Two Poor Bastards, where two friends get drunk, talk whiskey, and their favorite pop culture obsessions. This is Eric.
And this is Kyle.
All right, welcome to episode 64, which will happen to be the last episode of this iteration of the show.
The very last one.
Which is really, really fucking crazy. So, for those that are not in the know and listening to this, which would be weird because we're blasting on social media constantly, we are changing to the Paradise Arcade. So our format is going to change a little bit. You know, it's going to be less whiskey focused. So this is bittersweet. This is going to be the last time that we really do our little whiskey shtick on air. But, you know, we've had a good run with it.
Hopefully you're at the same point as us where you're on the end of the bell curve and you're like, this is good whiskey. You don't need our help.
You don't need our...
maybe along the ways.
So I just want to say thank you to people that have listened to, you know, what is going to be 64 episodes. I can't believe 64 episodes of doing this particular shtick. So it's been crazy, but, you know, it's time to change. You know, things are calling us, beckoning us to do different things. So,
but please, if you are interested in whiskey and you do have questions, go ahead and reach out. I'll answer them.
Yeah.
But we just aren't going to focus so much on it.
Yeah. So we're going to primarily focus on synthwave music and culture, which is pretty much what we already do anyways. So we'll continue to go down, talk about retro shit. Down. Yeah, go down. Continue to talk about, you know, retro shit, hot movies, video games, all the stuff that we already do. It'll just have a different tilt to it going forward. So
the fans have spoken.
The fans have spoken, and you know we want to be responsive to what y'all want, and y'all like hearing us talk about not whiskey.
And you like hearing us talk about synthwave, so it seems.
So it seems. Very responsive in that regard. So, yeah, bittersweet. Last episode of Two Poor Bastards. Great run. And, you know, I guess it's funny because I was talking to North Innsbruck yesterday, and he kept referring to us as bastards or Two Poor Bastards. So I think for some people it's going to be a little bit a difficult transition, but get over it.
Maybe he's doing that because I call him a little bitch.
Maybe. So let's get going with the episode, the bittersweet last whiskey part of the show. So this week we are drinking Michter's Rye. We had talked about the whiskey tasting, which we're going to talk about. That's going to be our first subject before the Droid Bishop interview, which we're finally playing weeks later. But so tonight we'll talk about the whiskey tasting and drink our Michter's Rye. So give us a little deets on here, Mr. Kyle, about Michter's Rye.
Michter's Rye, it's a single barrel. This one, there's two versions. There's a barrel proof and then there's a normal one. This guy here, we're coming in at 84.8 proof. That's a really weird one to pick. Anyways, this stuff is sourced. They didn't distill it. Michter's is a non-distiller producer. They bottle up other people's stuff. I couldn't tell you. It is from Kentucky. Couldn't tell you who makes it. It's good. Soft, subtle. Got a little bit of that spice. Makes me believe it's probably somewhere around 51% rye, which is the minimum amount in the mash bill to make it a rye whiskey. Relatively good price. Check it out.
Yeah. So let's do our little sniff test here. The last one. On air, maybe.
kind of a little bit of candy corn and some excuse me.
Hairball.
It's not, that was not from the whiskey either that made me do that. That was something else. Something, a little bit of fruit.
Yeah.
A little bit of bacon spice.
It's just, it has
Chocolate.
It just has a hint of spice. Just a very, like, oh, when I take a deep breath, it's there a little bit more. Yeah. Get that one last
Get right into the
sniff
mic.
record.
All right, I'm going to taste
Good. Yeah. Let's drink this shit.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing spectacular about it.
No,
Nothing that punches you in the face saying, hey, this is so much different or weird or terrible.
or better. Yeah, it's a mild, I would say this is a mild rye, especially comparative to other ones where you get the spice right off the bat, or the menthol or eucalyptus.
Yeah.
I more get like the eucalyptus flavor, like what I burped it up on the back end. Like that's what I got the hint of
Very
it.
burpy boy. I'd say the closest thing that I would say that it's like, as far as it's mellow, so kind of like Sazerac rye. Everything else is going to be a little more intense, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it's good.
Yeah.
It's worth the price of admission. I like it. I'd really like to compare this to the single, or not the single barrel, but the barrel proof.
Yeah. It's $40. Well, for where I purchased it at, it's $40. It's fairly available for people that want to pick it up. And again, it's probably going to be in that $40 range. Well, if you're on the West Coast, it's going to be more expensive. Probably tack on another $15 or more.
No, it shouldn't be that
No,
much
you don't
more.
think?
No.
I just thought there was like a universal, like...
I'd say like $37 typically is what you're going to see for this. And
Okay.
if it's more than 40, then fuck it.
Yeah, don't buy it, because you could just get Sazerac for $27 to $30.
Yeah.
Michter's, this is... When did they reintroduce the brand Michter's? Is that probably like...
I don't remember how many years ago it was, but there was a lot of drama surrounding it. The people who basically stole the Michter's name pushed out the other guy that did have a part in it, actually, and were kind of bastards about it. But at the end of the day, most people don't care what corporations are doing, and they just want the product.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately. Now, the person that was pushed out, was that the old master distiller, or is that a separate thing?
If I remember right, it was. Like, I had looked into it. I said something about it in one of our early episodes that we did. But there's something that goes along with that.
Yeah, I think he tried to start his own whiskey, and Michter's went after him because in the branding of it, he said was the master distiller from the old Bombard. Is that Bombergers?
Bomberger? That sounds familiar, yeah.
And so he marketed himself as being basically the original, or the old master distiller from the old label of Michter's, or whatever it was beforehand, and they put a cease and desist on his ass, which is interesting that you can't advertise your old job as something that you did to say how good, or as a...
For a thing that doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
For something that has a different name, from a name that they stole from you.
Yeah. And there's a whole bunch of hot bullshit on the bottle. That's all a bunch of horseshit. Again, they are a non-producer distiller.
Non-distiller producer.
Non-distiller producer. And, as I said, sourcing it. There is some, I would say their 10-year is good stuff. I still have a unopened bottle of 10-year, just hiding out.
I mean, it's different points in time. The 10-year, one of the 10-year releases was actually like 18-year. One of the earlier ones that they did.
Yeah.
And like was old Stitzel Weller juice or something like that, if I remember right. It was something crazy, but they were just like, well, costs too much to change the label. It's actually this. There it is.
And buy it. And then I'm sure that fucking
But now it's
flew
like
off the shelf.
a couple $1,000 if you try to get one now. But I've had the 20-year that they released in 2015, and that was spectacular. And the 25, both of them.
Damn, that's some old juice.
Yeah,
And it was good.
it was. And that was actually at the tasting. I was like, oh, yeah, I haven't heard a lot about these guys at the time. And I was like, I'm really looking forward to trying these super old ones. And they were like, yeah, we only got one bottle, and they're hundreds of dollars. So we just thought we'd do it at the tasting. So we had them at the tasting.
Well, good for you, because tastings are the way to go if you're looking to get, especially this time of year, because fall, winter is bourbon time. It's, if you have a chance to get into some tastings, and I suggest doing that anyways, getting into, because it gives you the opportunity to try all this different stuff out and decide for yourself, develop your own palate, ask questions with people that hopefully know what they're talking about. And
it's a good way to find out if something is worth the hype or overhyped.
And we'll get into that. So, yeah, Michter's has got a whole bunch of stuff out. It's got like the sour mash, obviously all the different age. Do you think that they still do the high age stated releases anymore, or do you think that they've kind of
they do, but there's so few.
It's like a barrel that they do, and that's
Right.
it.
Yes.
So very limited. And so they're, Michter's is right in line with a lot of the other people like Old Scout. Although Old Scout is making their own juice now.
Smooth Ambler.
Smooth Ambler.
It's only called Old Scout for the stuff that they source from other people.
Oh, there you go. Thank you I didn't know that. Is Michter's making their own juice?
They might be distilling something. I mean, everyone who's been doing that is now trying to get into it. So
Right.
they might be.
And
Do I care? No.
No. Because let me ask you this question. Has there been a juice that switched over to their own stuff that you've liked? Like a company that sourced it and then switched over to their own stuff? Have you liked anything?
Never. That's
So-
never happened.
I think I was going to say the same thing. And that's just my educated guess. Because they're fucking blending it and mixing it, old stuff with new stuff and a whole bunch of bullshit. And the knowledge and the expertise, they probably have some jabroni. Just
Like the biggest one that I can think of, the most disappointing one, is when Willette's Family Estate, when they switched their rye from MGP stuff to their own distillate. And I have tried many different, from like 2 to 4 year and whatever in between that they released. I've tried to like it. I just don't. It's terrible.
I want to try the 7-year that they have. I think they've got a 7-year. That's their own juice.
That old, that's their own, I would be surprised. It's probably garbage.
We've had the 4-year on the show. You could certainly look to that.
I have
It's
a
one of
bottle
the
4 year at home too, and it's oh my
it's
god,
funky. It's just I will give them this. If they wanted to be different and do something,
it's the most different and intense rye that there is right now.
I will give them that. It is distinct. It's not undrinkable. I drink it. It's
I
fine.
get drunk off of it, sure.
Yeah, but it's not like when I talk about a rye that I really like or I would recommend, I would never. In fact, I think that's the universal opinion because I see that shit on the shelves now. Before, you couldn't find it anywhere. And I've walked into a couple places where it's full to the back of the shelf. So either they've really ramped up production and are able to fucking whip it out, or the you want for it is not as high anymore because, again, MGP is that magic ingredient to all the success of a lot of companies, especially when it comes to rye. So let's get into our tasting we went to.
All right. And then we'll talk about the tasting we're going to.
Oh, yeah. So this was our first tasting of the fall season. It seems like this year's been weird. We missed the big one that I really wanted to go to.
We had no idea, and all of a sudden it happened.
I think that the owner this time around wised up and only talked about it at the location, as opposed to like because how I found it, and honestly how I found out about it was I went to the place and they told me about it, and like I was hoping that they would put something on social media and it never happened. And then when I went to go do a raffle, they're like, oh yeah, that was today. I'm like, motherfuck, because like that's the bomb tasting, the best one of the few that I've been to. Anyways, so this is was our first official of the new year for the Whiskey Club that we're part of, and
fall tasting, but not fall releases.
Exactly, fall tasting, not fall releases. This is our regular Whiskey Club that we're part of that does quarterly meetings. So this time around, it was the Phillips rep bringing Pinhook.
The Phillips rep for craft spirits, and yes, Pinhook whiskeys were what we sampled this time. And, you know, I knew Pinhook rye came out in the market a few years ago. I had seen it on some of the whiskey trading, you know, social media things when they were still around. And, you know, it interested me. I was like, ooh, I would like to try that. But at the time, it wasn't available in our state. So having this happen now, I was pretty pumped to go to check this stuff out because I've been interested.
Oh, yeah.
So we drank these whiskeys.
Yeah. And then reality sets in.
So I guess it goes right along with the craft spirits. Although these were sourced, what we had, they were sourced. They were too young and not very good. MGP products. You know, we're big fans of MGP.
Yeah.
I mean, not so much the bourbon as much as the rye, but
they can make good bourbon. I've had good bourbon, but it's rare. It's much rarer.
I've gotten very drunk off of some of their bourbons. At Marvel Bar, their pick that they had for the bourbon.
Ooh, yeah.
But, yeah, we started out, they had some bottle that's supposed to be part of the vertical series that they're having where they're releasing X amount of barrels every year.
This was interesting. It was an interesting play. I guess it makes sense. You're limiting.
Yeah. I mean, Orphan Barrel did it with Rhetoric. I still have a 23-year-old bottle I haven't opened up yet from that. I think we've done the 22-year on this show.
Mm-hmm.
I heard rumors that the year that the 23 came out, that was better than the 23-year-old Pappy, which I fucking believe. It's garbage now.
Yeah, so it was it four total or 5?
It was 5. So it was 3 bourbons, 2 ryes, and then we had a Manhattan mixed for us.
Oh, yes.
By the Phillips rep. So bourbons, not much to say. It was garbage, and garbage.
Yeah.
Pretty much too young. These were like 2 and 3-year-old. And I think the first one we had was 4 for the vertical thing.
Yeah.
But all of them obviously too young. Nothing to note. Nothing to say about it.
No, all the bourbons were generic in the most epic way. There's nothing to say about them. I'm not going to go back into tasting notes other than they weren't good. And then we had 2 ryes. We had a 4-year rye,
3-year.
2
or 3 year.
And then a barrel proof rye.
That was a little bit older.
Just a smidge.
Yeah.
And they also were not good.
Well, the normal rye, not the barrel proof, there you tasted potential.
Mm-hmm.
And like we mentioned, these were MGP ones, so it was an MGP rye. So thankfully, when I drank that, I was like, here are hints of the things that I like about this.
Right.
But they aren't quite there. Probably because it's
fucking young.
Yeah, not old enough. And the price point on it, I don't remember if it was like $35-$40.
Is outrageous for what it was.
Which, like, if it were $20, I'd be like, oh, maybe I'll grab this if it was $20. Because it was decent. I could handle it. I was able to drink it.
Yeah.
But the price point was like, nah. Because for $20, you can go get a $7.50 a bullet rye, which is the same distillate, aged longer, and has a taste that you know.
Yeah.
if you fucking know Bullet Rye.
Right. So,
And then the barrel proof one,
yeah.
I did it no favors. There was some shit
No.
weird with that one, and it was not okay.
No. Okay, and I'll go back to like the regular proof rye or the lower proof rye. It had all the hints of goodness that I love, but it just isn't old enough. And that really goes to the fact that age is such a key factor in whiskey. So important. And it's like the thing you love, but like not at the same time. It had just the hints of like, oh, I love the menthol eucalyptus, but it just wasn't. It didn't do it. And then the price is outrageous, and that's the problem with craft spirits. If you talk about Venn diagram of like value, quality, whatever the fucking all those overlapping things, like craft spirits is always in the gutter. And I could say this, I've never had a craft spirit that I've liked ever.
But I mean, technically, it's not a craft spirit though.
No, but
because it's not like this company cooking like hot garbage and then trying to sell it. It's somebody else's who we know makes good stuff, just not aged properly. They're just like, let's get this shit out the door.
Yeah, and that's where, and again, the whole craft phenomenon, which is just, it's rush it to market. Like, oh, we got to get it out there. And, the bottles fucking throw me for a loop because they look like the barefoot wine bottles. You know what I mean? Like,
with a shitload of wax on them, too, because, like, whiskey people, they like to see wax on there, and they're like, oh, automatically this might be better because wax only goes on hot shit.
Is that really a thing?
Willette worked that real hard for a while with their family estate releases.
Because I guess I don't really...
Just like, ooh, if you saw something with gold or white wax on it, like, ooh, you're in for something special.
Yeah, I guess I've never fallen for that shit.
But like Maker's Mark, they have a trademark on fucking red wax, so nobody can use a red wax or you get in trouble for that.
How do you trademark
I don't even know. Don't even
fucking
ask.
Thing. That's...
But like the cheap shit, or I shouldn't say shit because I really like it, and I think it's one of the best value bourbons that there is. Evan Williams Single Barrel has been waxing their bottles forever.
But value, quality,
but to me, that's
perfect.
Just annoying, them putting wax on it because it makes it
harder
to open the bottle.
When you're already drunk and you're trying to open up a new bottle of Evan Williams Single Barrel, it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating.
You get a pair of pliers to hold on to the end of the tag that comes out.
Well, fucking, even if it lines up, Jesus Christ. And, I'm talking about maybe binge drinking episodes at conventions that this happens. Mm-hmm. But, whatevs. This is what you do. And that's a perfect example of, like, it's the right price, the right quality. You can't complain. Whereas, like, this other shit, it's outrageous. And it's not all right. It's just above what it's actually worth. It's worth $20, as you said. It's priced at $40, I think. It's not worth it. And I would dare say that what we're drinking is a little high if it's $35, I think would be the perfect price for Michter's Rye. $35 I'd feel really good about. Just the 40 and I don't know what the $5 thing is, what that $5.
Well, it's like the thing that people say. It's like, buy this thing on eBay and shipping is $4. Like, buy this $10 thing on eBay with $4 shipping. You're like, $4 shipping, fuck that. And then it's like, go to the bar, buy a $14 drink. Okay. Like,
right.
I don't know. There's something about that.
Yeah, I don't know. And, with the Michter's Rye, I like it. It's good. It's just, the thing is like, if I'm going to buy a rye, I'm not going to go buy. There's nothing about it that really makes me like, I need to get a bottle of this because this is my go-to rye.
I feel like it's nice every once in a while to change things up.
Yeah.
That's how I get it.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with you. Like, it's a every now and again kind of a deal. All right, so let's take a break real quick. We're going to play some songs, and we're going to play the Droid Bishop interview, which... You missed the show. Sucks to be you.
I missed it. I was in Boston.
And then we'll come back. That was a great show.
Thanks.
And I was excited because like I'd listened to your latest record and was just excited off of that alone.
Yeah.
How long? I see you've got like 7 releases, something like that.
Let me see. 2013. About 7. If you say 7, I'm gonna go with 7.
Fair enough. Because I was looking at Bandcamp.
You know, I think it's 7 because I think 1 is not on Bandcamp. I think Beyond the Blue is not on Bandcamp. It's on streaming, and to beat a dead horse, it's something like I when I can get to it, I want to kind of remaster some of those tunes. I don't know if I'm going to do the whole album because time flies and you write new shit and you got to focus on changing. But there are some stuff I love on that, and I would want to hear it sonically better. I played a tune like In Your Love Tonight that's on that record, and I really like that tune. I hate the way it came out sonically, and that was on me being in a weird place. I mentioned before, I stopped drinking because I made horrible mistakes. Mixing and in life and all these other things. So my main goal for this new release was clean your shit up and learn how to mix better and write the best thing you can do at the time. I'm sure as soon as I was done with it, I'm like, I can't listen to these tunes anymore. I'm proud of this record though, Rebirth of the Machine.
Again, I'm like, I don't, I like something or I don't, and I don't bullshit it. And sometimes it gets awkward, but I really dig this.
Well, that's all I can ask for. Because I want people to like it. It's something artists have to do no matter what. You got to get it out. But you want people to. I want to make someone's day better. I want to make a moment better. Just like I always go back to thinking about something like Queen. I love Queen. And I would hear these 8-part harmonies in the breakdowns, and it would be like, this was before I drank a beer or smoked a joint. I'd spend my money on records when I was 12, 13, and I'd play it at night with the headphones on, and you'd hear a moment and the world would disappear. So I sit down with that goal. I may not always achieve it, but I think any artist should at least have that road sign ahead. You know? Absolutely. Try to achieve greatness, or in my opinion, get out of the way, because there's a lot of traffic.
Yes.
There's
so much noise out there.
Absolutely.
Totally get where you're coming from too. I mean, just in the big picture, I remember going on family camping trips and listening to Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Oh, love Floyd.
Right? I'm sitting sitting in my tent as a kid, my little puff tent, listening to that and thinking, damn, if somebody at some point can achieve something like this, and that's it too, so it's this constant pursuit, so I can totally hear what you're talking about as far as finding this moment, or a series of moments within your release that actually connect with other people. And that's what makes a difference. And seriously, tonight, we saw that, without a doubt. As soon as you set up everything you had going on, you turned around with those sunglasses.
For sure,
Sunglasses?
I guess LED glasses, whatever. You gotta. There's a persona thing. I'm still down to earth and want to connect with people, but I do believe in tunes always come first, but put a fucking show on. Entertain. Especially in this scene, there's a lot of machines doing work for us, but I think we got to start with ourselves, being the curators of everything, being the master of the machine. The machine is just a tool to help you, but I do believe in getting up there, playing an instrument if you can, or whatever, putting on a show. Because if you're not going to play an instrument, that's fine, but entertain the fucking crowd. Whatever you have to do, entertainment with good tunes, you can't go wrong.
That's one thing that we've seen as far as trying to build a scene here in the Twin Cities is we've got a lot of people who are really into the idea and I want to play in front of other people, but don't understand. Once you're on the stage, and I shared this with Eric, it's not about your id. It's not about your personal, what you want. It's about what everybody else in the room is really wanting and looking for. Because as Synthwave artists, I can totally see what you're saying, is we step up. And yes, we can press play in the computer. That's fine. MIDI will do all the work if we wanted to. But with what you did too, is you stepped up, you've got the guitar on stage, I said the Strat, it was Strat, right? You couldn't see the full guitar.
You got it,
but that's it. Pop that thing up on stage and start playing, because people can see what's going on and there's something bigger to it, which I love what you were delivering tonight.
Nice. I appreciate it, man.
people see it. They know.
And not to throw anyone under the bus, like some people are great creators of melodies and songs and don't really own the instrument live, because it's a different part of the brain. So whatever they do to connect with the crowd, everyone has their own path. I just think you gotta do what you said. What does the crowd want? You gotta start with what you would want, because you can't expect anyone to feel something if you don't feel it when you're making it or doing it. But the people, they let you know what they want.
Yes.
And sometimes it lines up with what you want to. I do believe in doing what's true to yourself, but you gotta be a fan pleaser at the same time. And it's hard when sometimes maybe you're over a song or you're not feeling it anymore. You're in a different place, and that's the jam that everyone wants to hear.
Yes.
And you talk to any artist, and they're gonna say that. And the song that this guy knows what I'm talking about. The song that you love the most, everyone fucking hates.
Yes.
Or they don't get it.
Okay.
Or you're thinking you're on some level of greatness or whatever. We all, as artists, you always think you're a fucking horrible person and you should never play again. And then you have these ego moments where you're like, oh, if only they can understand, and all this bullshit. But you need that kind of push and pull, manic thing. It's I know I'm a tangent-y kind of. When you ask me questions, I'm going on.
This is what the show's about.
I think going back to what I was saying about like not really partying as much anymore and putting some of those things down. It helps me deal with the manic stuff going on, because no matter what, I'm always going to have people, artists and creative people, always going to have the roller coaster. It's just easier for me to manage those moments of darkness or whatever, because some of those things, makes it worse for people. And
it does.
I know people have some. I had major issues with that, and getting all like. I believe in helping people. If one person can clean up their shit or follow their dreams from one, then it's worth it. So anyone listening, if you need to clean your shit up, do it. You know who you are.
Yeah. Well, that's the kind of the cool part too. Is I've got an extensive background in mental health and behavioral health. I'm a licensed psychotherapist here in Minnesota.
Nice.
And so the stuff that you're talking about, I hear so many people. There's that cliche. I'm gonna get really high. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get drunk. I'm gonna write a wicked song.
Yeah.
And truth be told, I've been there and done that too, and there's a certain threshold where you cross and stuff actually sounds pretty terrible, as it turns out. So to be able to step back and have that bigger picture and say, yes, this stuff, it can be interesting, it can drive creativity, but as well in the same hand, I've achieved a certain level of clarity, and be able to connect, and then as well say, I've experienced this, but then like you just said here, there's something bigger. There's something more important, and there's people out there who can connect with you and really help you kind of reach that additional echelon of creativity, or the reality of what's going on out there is extremely important. That's so important.
And not to reverse things, but it's funny you were saying about the drugs and the creativity, because I'm not gonna lie, there have been times where it's I would never have come up with this riff if I wasn't stoned out of my fucking mind or whatever. But I will tell you, doing this album completely clean, I was able to allow myself to understand that I know what's going on. I know where these notes are going. I understand scales. Dude, just put in the time. I had nowhere to party after. There was no drinking or anything at 6 o'clock punch out time when I'm working on the computer. So it was just keep working and make that part better.
Absolutely.
And so I do believe substances can expand the mind and all that shit, but if you already understand what you're doing, you don't have any distractions, and you kind of have to put things aside and certain people and all that shit. But if you really care about the art and what you're doing, it's not a sacrifice, it's a gain. I've gained so much, and I think a lot of the stuff I've been putting out is my best work in my opinion, and I've heard some good feedback, and it's only going to get better. And whatever, I'm fucking ranting at this point.
It's all good.
It's all about you right now.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, was there so with the clarity that you had, was there a new perspective or inspiration or sort of a focal point that you held on to making?
Do exactly what I want to do. Nice. You know what I mean? You only live once, I believe, at least in this form or whatever. And it's if you aren't true to yourself and you write something for the wrong reasons and you end up making millions of dollars from that song and people love it and you have to play that thing every fucking night for the rest of your life.
Oh, preach. Yep.
Or whatever, and like, I think that especially in this scene, there's so much going on that's very similar, and to separate yourselves, it seems like a hard thing, but it's really not, because you just do what you want to do. Like, I'm so influenced by so many things. If you hear in the new record, there's more guitars, because I'm a huge guitar guy, whether it's metal or jazz or like a huge Floyd fan. So I love David Gilmour and Queen and Iron Maiden, and I love orchestration. So I put like strings in there. What would I want to hear? Ask yourself, what would you want to hear, or what would you want to see on a picture? What would you want to see in a movie? Whatever you want, like, the answers are inside us. We just ignore them all the time.
Oh, totally. Well, even like with tonight, like with the show that you were playing, like one of the coolest things was hearing Tears for Fears sudden pop out of nowhere, you know?
Depeche Mode.
Oh, was it Depeche Mode?
For sure.
Yeah,
I hate correcting people.
That's okay.
But
you're spot on.
Enjoy the silence.
I just ruined it.
We'll go and scratch that part in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to edit it.
Depeche Mode. I should have kept my mouth shut.
No.
I would have corrected them, so it's
Okay,
fine.
Yeah,
good.
it's okay. It's not the first time I've been wrong.
But anyway, continue. Like,
But that's the beauty of it there, is because of the fact that what you're able to do is take something that we all enjoyed and we were familiar with as far as your music and take it to a whole nother level and pull in some stuff that could just like brought it. I mean, just additionally rad. I don't know how else to put it. Like all of a sudden, what you had was maybe groups of people within the audience who recognized different portions of your song. You pulled something in universal. What song was it, by the way?
it was Enjoy the Silence.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and it's something it goes back to what I first learned in music when I was super young, about 4 or 5 years old, when I heard like Wild Thing,
Yes.
da 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 da, and I heard, and then also at the same time I heard from Grease, Summer Lovin', ba ba ba, and I was like, those are the same chords, and that's when my first moment of understanding something in music. And I've taken that throughout what I do, and those are the same chords over that Depeche Mode as Nightland. I'm like, why don't I throw in a little motif here, and there's only 12 notes,
right?
And it's like whatever you're gonna do with them. But I get what you're saying. If you can do your own thing and maybe bring in a familiar moment or something to, in a lack of a better phrase, kind of steal someone.
Oh yeah.
And be like, yo, come with me, because and you get their attention, and then their ears are perked a little more. And it's a great song too, so fuck it.
Well, I love what you're saying, because it was about 2 months ago I read it was an interview with Dave Grohl where he was talking about Smells Like Teen Spirit, and he said within the last 5 years he realized it was the exact same song structure as the Rick Roll song. What the fuck song is that again?
Oh yeah, Never Gonna Give You Up.
Never Gonna Give You Up. And he said straight up, I heard it and I couldn't believe it the first time I realized it connected. But there's this universality between these different styles and types of music where we can connect with other people, other genres.
And we're all kind of coming from a rip-off place. I mean, that song also was Kurt Cobain. The rhythm was that intro, which is one of the greatest intro with the drum fill and everything, from More Than a Feeling, Boston. Down, 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 down.
Yes.
And then stealing the song structure of the Pixies.
Oh, for
loud,
sure.
quiet, quiet.
Which, as huge fans of both, and I love Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain was a huge influence on me when I was younger. With all due respect, the Pixies did that first.
And the thing is, like, his talent is synthesizing multiple, like, so many things, the catchy aspects of multiple genres of things, and creates a new thing. And I think synthwave, we want to tie it all together, is a very similar genre where I feel it's super open as a genre, because it's really anything of a particular era that has a mood. And I think synthwave more describes a feeling or a mood than a texture, more than a specific song structure.
For sure. It's totally true. And I was talking to some of the guys in Magic Sword. I was talking, we were talking about some similar things like that yesterday, and expanding on synthwave, and not being boxed in. And I lately have been influenced by you're talking about direction and focal point, and which is, I'm sure this will certainly tie into our listeners. John Carpenter. I'm a huge fan of John Carpenter as a filmmaker and a composer. He's an auteur of higher level, and I'm a nerd, and I've watched like Making of the Thing like 19 times, and all that stuff. And he said this thing that was super interesting because he does more than Halloween type movies. Like he's
Big Trouble in Little
it's
China.
all he's just a great filmmaker, and he said, which I apply this to music and synthwave especially. You can when making a horror film. You can make any type of movie you want in that film as long as you have a jump out and grab you every 10 minutes.
Totally.
So if you put a fucking ARP in something or whatever it may be, I can write a ballad or maybe a little metal-y thing in there or throw in some jazz licks. But if you kind of have that core of synth and, I don't believe in boxing yourself in, but I take what he said into applying it because I can't make the same record over, and some people do, and no names, but it's just expand. Do what you want to do. Expand yourself.
Absolutely, that's it. It's all about growth, and that's the beauty of creativity as well. As you're always able to challenge yourself, try new, different things, and if you fail, that's fine. Actually, there's nothing wrong with that.
You get better when you fail. I've failed so many times. Just like horrible moments, and your moments are out there too when you're putting songs out there, or art, and public humiliations and failures definitely make you want to learn a little quicker.
Yes.
So, but you gotta fail. You gotta hit that ground hard, and you gotta get back up.
Well, I think that's it. To your point, it's this whole experience, this piece of it. Whereas as you grow and you could. I don't say you continue to fail, but you experience different types of failures throughout your career at different moments. You start to deal with those a little bit differently, and you start to think about it differently. Whereas opposed to a moment where it was complete shame, complete guilt because you let somebody down, it's the other side of it is, wow, here's what I took, here's what I learned from this, and I'm going to use this to my advantage so I can grow from it and become something completely new.
Yeah, your perspective changes and failure becomes a positive. And I think it was Edison or something when, they're like, you failed, 1,000 times or whatever before you made the light bulb. He's like, I didn't fail. I just learned like 999 ways not to make a light bulb.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
When you can flip the script or whatever, and the glass half full type of shit, which I've been able to do, and I'm a huge believer in positive energy, and the universe has your back if you fucking fist bump it and be like, dude, I'm willing to put in the work. And he'll open, whatever it is, the universe will open doors, and it will see like this person's believing, and so many people don't fully believe. And there's no plan B for me. I've done music my whole life, regardless of genre, and done guitar work for pop gigs and touring. Your dreams change along the way. Like I thought I'd be in like the next Metallica when I was 13 or whatever.
Yes.
I didn't know I'd be doing this, but for once, like you take a step back and, hey, bro, like you didn't think it would be this way, but like you put out some records and people from different countries hit you up, and like you don't know you're in that boiling water till it's, dude, you're here. It may have been a different dream, but I was talking to the Magic Sword about that yesterday. Like, we're in it. Like you can't take it for granted. It's hard to take stock sometimes when it's all happening, but we're blessed to be out here on this tour, and you saw the crowd in there, and
it was amazing, by the way.
How were the other two stops the same way?
Well, I was only on yesterday's stop in Kansas City, and like the crowd there was great too. I'm a little partial to Minnesota. My girlfriend's from here, and I thought like we actually sold this out a little more than this was sold out. I think it was like 80 cap yesterday. That was a great first show. This was like, now we're on tour.
Yeah.
So I love you, Casey, but Minnesota stepped up.
That's awesome. And I got to say, it was pretty exciting when we were in there and you started talking about having these local connections type of deal.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm plus a T-shirt right now. Got the Metallica reference,
exactly.
by the way.
Yeah.
So that's a beautiful thing.
It's every place. Every place has its own charm, and every crowd deserves its own respect. But I'm a human being, and if I play LA, it's a hometown show. You feel a little way. Like I feel Minnesota, Minneapolis, like St. Paul area is kind of another home to me because of my my connections here. And
Totally. You know, like David Lee Roth said it. I wish that. Who was it? No, originally Beach Boys, wasn't it? I wish they could all be California girls,
yeah,
right?
I wish they could all be Minnesota girls. You know?
Minnesota.
It's too fucking cold.
Yeah, you're damn right.
You know,
I don't know how we do it.
I mean, it's like, you know, in the 30s today or tonight, and like that's like nothing to you guys, right?
Well,
I mean, you still don't
this time of
enjoy
year.
it, but I've been here in January, like negative 20, and you know, coming in ill prepared sometimes, and I had to wear my girlfriend's like frou-frou-y sequined
the earmuffs,
yeah,
like that.
so I look pretty hip.
Yeah, right.
Is it like a, I mean, you know, like we're in 7th Street entry, would it be like a goal to do main stage, First Avenue main stage kind of a thing?
What
do
was
you
it-
have like,
what was the question?
well, like,
oh, the goals?
Yeah, like,
aspiration?
do you have, like-
big as it can go? I want to play on the fucking moon, bro.
all right,
Like
that's how you
it's
gotta do it. Yeah.
it's
We
know,
get you
it's
playing at Lake Minnetonka out west, right there.
Ice, yeah.
Good old Prince up there, the spirit of Prince.
I went to Paisley Park
Nice.
the last time I was here, maybe last year, and that was an awesome spiritual experience. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like as big as it can go is where I want to take it. I don't believe in. Sometimes I don't even like to like say I make synthwave. I make music, you know.
Yeah.
We get boxed in, and then you can kind of have nowhere to go. So I'm appreciative of the scene and the people and all that, but I still sometimes don't want to just. It will always kind of have like a synth vibe. If it's completely different, I'll do some other project on the side, because I don't believe in kind of bait and switching people. You know, when you switch too hard, it's
do you think that? Do you feel the momentum of synthwave? Like, do you feel like you're gaining momentum as a scene?
I feel I am. I feel other people are too. You know, you got these bigger artists. It's, you know, there's a select few out there that are obvious names I don't have to mention that like people gravitate towards. I definitely feel like when something's big, it touches a lot of people in a way that people are only willing to accept like 3 of those artists, and like those are the ones I like, and then I also like hardcore EDM and pop and stuff like that. I mean, these ones are acceptable, and it's all, I don't know how the algorithm of the world works in that way, but I feel like it's only going like this for me. If no one can see me, that my hand was going up on the roller coaster.
I think you bring up just a really cool point. I mean, as far as people being able to focus on about 3 things at once, though, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember growing up, I mean, you know, going back to Metallica, you know, that whole era, Guns N' Roses, Metallica. You could probably, everybody has their third one to throw in there, but there were the 2 biggies at that point in time. And synthwave, I mean, things are growing, things are changing right now, and we do have some of our bigs right now, but in the same hand, the genre in and of itself hasn't achieved that high echelon of, you know, of musicality yet.
Well, like a
commercial
major
success.
pop artist hasn't taken the format yet and totally run
Well, I
with
mean,
it.
sometimes you hear some of the stuff in like a bigger tune, or like you know, like I know like Muse had some stuff going on, or even like it's not straight synthwave, but Demi Lovato has a song like "Cool for the Summer," and it's like big pop hit a couple years ago, and that was very like kind of throwbacky stuff. And then you got like Stranger Things and all the. It's like people seem to like all this 80s stuff, but at the same time they're not. It's like, yo, we've been here.
Yeah.
You know, we fucking love this shit. I don't know if this is just a fad for you. And it's like goes into the thing where I'm saying they can only. It's like I like Stranger Things, but I don't really want any other 80s thing. I don't know.
No,
I don't want to get into a dark place where I'm bitter about something, because I'm so stoked where I'm at, and you know, you're always looking up to someone's always underneath and someone's always above you, like Magic Sword. Like I think they're on a good trajectory, and I'm stoked to be kind of like riding the bottom of that comet with them right now too. And I've watched them through their genesis and whatever, and they're a huge influence in the way of they do it right. Their branding, their story. It's a real spectacle and a real investment.
Yeah.
And I respect that because you're investing in yourself and your fans and your listeners when you put in that time. And they're inspiration and stoked to be on with them. And bottom line is their tunes are good. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
All the swords and all this shit wouldn't matter.
Right.
If maybe it would matter for like 10 minutes, then people would be like, you know what, it's kind of crap.
Yeah.
But tunes, the source, the art has to be the root.
Yeah.
And then all those speckles and all the you know shit can go on top, man.
Yeah, well, you know, with yourself or Magic Sword, again, it's the whole mood, the whole thing adds to what it is.
Yeah.
And you can take all the image part of it in its solitude. So you're
sure,
right.
yeah.
Good music is good music, regardless of how you dress it up.
For sure.
And I think you appreciate it as you get older. That like it doesn't what genre it is. You can appreciate. Oh, that's a chord progression. This is really great. And that's what I like about synthwave is there seems to be an appreciation of multiple influences.
Oh yeah, you get a lot of metal crossover. I feel like a lot of dudes are metalhead synthwavers.
Oh yeah,
and you know, into all sorts of genres. I feel like it's more open than sometimes we give it credit for because it can be a little contained and a little high schoolish in a way of I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, no,
just
I totally
kind
get
of
where you're coming from too, and I think it ties into some stuff earlier where you know you've throughout our interview you've been actually really modest about some of the criticisms that you've had of the genre and using that as a very general term. But I think to this point, it's important for us to look back and say, what can we do better?
Yeah.
You know, what can we improve on as well, and what have we done right?
For sure.
For that matter, because that's what's going to drive the genre.
Yeah.
That's what's going to help everybody. I mean, be it
You're
local,
totally right.
Here in the
what
Twin
did we do
Cities.
right?
Yes.
Like, you got to go through and be like, what did we do wrong, and what did we do right? And there's definitely go-to things that I think are like you can't go wrong with a good kind of like
Yes.
you know, but throw some dope chords over that. Like just pressing the ARP is not.
Exactly.
there's a meme that I've seen where it's like synthwave guys with chords, and then like it's just
4 people are
and then when synthwave people when the arpeggiator hits or something like that, they're like freaking out.
And it's, don't get me wrong, I love ARPs, but honestly, I write my own ARP parts. I rarely like just hold the chord. Sometimes it sounds cool, like, and that's fine. You want just a little texture to kind of give some energy, but some of the cooler ARP things that I try to do or come up with, I'm actually like coming up with the notes and like where they're flying, and then whether I slow it down and play it and then speed it up in the computer, it doesn't, whatever the end result is, I don't care how the sausage is made as long as it tastes good.
I love how you put that though too, because I think with synthwave, one of the things that I understand too, that I've stepped into the studio with other artists as well, is that we all have different styles, different modes of approaching this type of thing. So when you talk about writing the arpeggios, that's something that I personally do as well, where every note is written, where there are some dudes, and again, it's not wrong, it's not right, because I'd use the other way as well, where you're holding down a specific chord within the synthesizer itself and it's playing the arpeggio automatically, and they both bring you to different places.
For sure.
So which way you take, which path you take, isn't maybe better than the other.
No.
But it's what you come out with at the end that matters the most.
And it's the battle of simplicity and complexity, and sometimes you can get a little heady, and it's the simple things always seem to connect better when it's good simple, but I do think there's middle ground. And like I said, I was talking to one of the dudes in Magic Sword yesterday about there's a couple people in music that have kind of hit everyone, and it's intelligent music, but there's something simple about it, and Floyd is one of them.
Yes.
And Michael Jackson.
Yes.
Everyone likes Jackson. I don't give a fuck about all that shit.
Right.
I'm listening to the tunes, so no one fucking hit me up about that shit. Honestly, Michael Jackson's my favorite artist. And those tunes you got, especially on Thriller, you got like fucking Rock and Rollers Loved, Beat It, you got Eddie Van Halen, you got all these, but they're simple and they're catchy, but they're like those arrangements and.
So what you're saying is you love Quincy Jones, then?
I do love Quincy Jones. Yes, I know. I get,
so.
and I love that. I love that. Well, it's like George Martin and the Beatles.
Yeah.
You know, they wrote those simple tunes, but the tastiness is George Martin, and the tastiness on Jackson is Quincy.
Yeah.
And like I said, it doesn't matter how the sauce is made. Tunes turned out great, and it's that it's. To kind of go back to one of your questions before, like that's what I want to achieve, a more global crossover of just trying to make more people happy, more like that's why I don't like the term synthwave sometimes. I just want to make music, and you kind of it's good to be in these scenes when you're kind of coming up, and because you can target audience, but I'm trying to like, and for lack of a better phrase, like fool people into coming on this crazy journey that I'm I'm like, trust me, it's gonna get cool in a bit. Like, but you know, I don't know if that makes sense or
totally does. No.
Well, I think people are already going that direction, because I think people that are of a certain age group, younger, already have such a universal. Just think about this: the popularity of non-vocal music. 10, 15, 20 years ago, you would not find that in any kind of charts at all. And there's an entire genre of music that people are passionate about that is mostly non-vocal.
For sure. Then that surprises me too, because I grew up on a lot of instrumental stuff, like kind of like shredder guitar players, like Yngwie Malmsteen and things like that. And, but even Yngwie like got a singer, and you know, because he kind of knew the game, and you know, I've had battles with like doing vocals and not doing them over many projects, and because of that, like I'm totally happy with instrumental music as is. It's a harsh thing to say, and there's always a music versus lyrics thing, and don't get me wrong, I like Roger Waters and those guys are some of my favorite lyric writers, and Steely Dan, those are, because that's dope music as well as like crazy lyrics that are out there and smart, and so I love lyrics, but at the end of the day, music is without lyrics is fucking music, and music without lyrics is poetry.
Absolutely.
So one is always music, and that's music. So and it's a dick thing to say to some people that are like lyricists, and there's nothing wrong with that, and I love it. But there's something more vast about music, because we don't have the words for those millions of feelings and colors, and you know.
I like to describe it like reading a book versus watching something where like you have a lyricist singing, because the brain is naturally tuned to human voices and like recognize emotion, recognize words, and attach emotions to those and how it conveys, where music, strictly musical things, activates your brain in a completely different way. So you know, for a lot of folks, lyrical kind of thing is the way that they connect, but again, the generation of people, like, that's not as important. It's amazing where like music can touch people really in a purely like magical, simplistic way without having to rely on the crutch of someone singing.
Exactly, and also, you know, I'm just reiterate to not be slamming lyrics or anything like that, and you know, but like you're not being told what this moment is about. You know? That's why I do like lyrics that are a little more vague in a sense. But with the music, you're not being told, and you can be like, I feel the sun when I hear this. I feel the shadows. I feel, and it's all the same thing. And you know, and I'll just end on the music is the best thing ever, because movies are garbage without music.
Beautiful. Yes.
Even the best movies are, you hear in the editing room, it's like, this is dull without, like Jaws was whack without that dun dun.
Well, have you ever seen movies where they've been scored with different...
Oh, like the temp tracks?
The temp tracks, or like just like they flip out, like you put the Seinfeld bass slap behind anything.
And it can change tone of a movie. You know, they do those fake trailers of like turning a comedy into a horror movie now. With kind of what you're talking about.
Yes, exactly.
And that's how powerful the suggestion of music is.
Big time.
It's one of my tangents again. It's the reason I'm still alive. It's the reason I'm not in jail. Probably. I think it's the most beautiful, unexplainable thing that we were given in this existence.
Beautiful.
So,
Yeah, no, you're spot on there, without a doubt. Life without music it just isn't the same. And
it's darkness.
It is, yes, yeah. It's one of the lights for us, without a doubt, as a species, as anything across this universe right now. I mean, those vibrations, those sounds, that means something to each and every one of us.
Sure.
And those experiences, and I heard it in your music tonight. And Eric, and we've talked about this before, without a doubt. But that timbre that connects us to that moment when we're early on in life, that draws us back, are those moments that seem to be pulling people in.
Yeah.
And we're, people like yourself, musicians, we're taking this timbre right now and we're drawing it in, and we're using it to create a semblance of a greater whole, which really means something to people.
It does. And you see all these people out here tonight, or at any show, any genre. Who knows what's going on in these people's lives, and they need this. And even for 10 minutes, even for 1 hour, you can forget about whatever it is, or it's a celebration of a good moment too. But it's an escape on any level, and who knows what's out there, and after this. And I believe in some weird shit of like, maybe we are in a simulation or whatever. We don't fucking know. I just, all I know is I don't know, so I can't be like, this is happening. And all I know is I'm here now, and I can do this, and we're not promised tomorrow.
Oh my God, this moment, this here and now, like when we leave, this moment here, who knows what will happen outside of the doors of this little entryway, this vestibule that we're sitting in.
And it's here, and that's why for the listeners, we were trying to wrangle this interview like before and trying to make it happen. And I meant it, like, if I can do it after the show, like, let's make it work. And I like to do these things, and I like to get things on tape, music or whatever, and tape is a loose term, whatever that means, record. Get it on the record. And, because we're going to burn out, but hopefully this will live in the cloud. At some level.
Absolutely. That's it, too. Wow.
So what's next for you? Just the
for
tour?
Droid Bishop?
Yeah, Droid Bishop. What's the thing?
2020 is not too far away.
Definitely. Well, my main thing was to kind of put out a record that could float for a bit. It's hard because I don't want to take away from someone else who enjoys things of mine, but like I just felt like I never nailed it, and I'm like, dude, you got to be ready for when you get an email from someone like Magic Sword. Like, are you ready to? Yes, I've got a record I'm willing to push, and like I'm proud of this stuff, and so hopefully that can carry over. And I'm trying to book some European stuff and playing more shows. I believe in live music. Awesome. So just getting that record down was huge, so I can have that carry over into 2020 and whatever avenues come my way. But at the same time, I started fucking writing new stuff the day that album came out.
Right?
I'm just like,
that's
so I've already got like 5 tunes going, and maybe two of those will only go further, or maybe none of those, and I don't know. My favorite thing to do is to compose. My favorite thing in life is to write, to make the music. So always more tunes within reason of like not burning people out.
Yourself.
I think some people release too much. I don't know. You got to have a little bit of a waiting. Like people want your shit, unless it's just like jism notes every time, and like it's like a drug.
White notes.
Well, and we've talked about that. Maybe you and I have specifically before, but there's a certain fatigue that comes with artists who have constant releases, and not that that's again wrong, because social media to a certain degree pushes us in that direction. But with what you're doing here is something that I see with myself as well. I can't constantly keep writing and releasing new music, and so there's a space in between where we're kind of maybe like what you're doing right now is I want to be able to live, I want to be able to exist in this world, this album that I created for
take a moment to enjoy it and to discover other avenues and I believe in only putting out at least what you believe is the best that you can do at that moment. So it's not about writing 10 songs and putting 10 songs out. It's about writing 30 fucking songs and picking 10, or maybe there's only 8 in there. We always kind of maybe put one on there that shouldn't have gone on there or whatever, but but you got to put in the effort. And the greatest songwriters, the greatest artists all have fucking duds.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Like Spielberg has some garbage movies that didn't pan out.
Well done.
The 43 or whatever that the war comedy he did.
Oh,
the World War II.
Lord.
It's 49 or something.
Something like I'm trying
Some
to think
year,
of it now.
either-
It flopped, obviously.
Either
So
way.
that's it. Not everybody can hit Jaws every time,
No,
or Star
and-
Wars,
and-
or
Yeah, not even Spielberg.
yeah.
And like that's the kind of going back to the failing thing, and it's hard because something like time will tell, because something like The Thing or Blade Runner were fucking flops.
Yes.
And you ask anyone, at least in our world, they're in the top 10 movies.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, totally
Those are
amazing.
like,
Yeah.
The Thing, forget about it.
Yeah.
You know, and like, and my point is that like you would want to quit after hearing like no one liked that. You're like, you didn't like The Thing. You didn't like that.
How did you? What?
Well, and the craziest thing, big picture, this was a moment in time for John Carpenter. Like, this was, 20 plus 30 years ago, whatever it was, 25 years ago, and he's looking back on, oh, we did this in, like a few months, or I spent 9 months maybe writing it, but that's done, that's over. But people like us still look back and go, this was a big, big deal.
Like 5 minutes.
For sure. No, that's totally. I lost my train of thought, but yes,
That's the way it goes sometimes with these interviews. Yeah.
Bottom line with that is, you're gonna get shit on, you're gonna fail. But if you really believe that you need to be doing this and you are good, we all know if we're good or not on some level. Yeah. And just keep going and just keep working, and your best shit might be on the day you fucking die.
That's it.
Or whatever. So
Never stop
give up
writing.
and listen to your heart, because you always fucking know what to do, and we always ignore that shit. So just listen to the little voice inside.
Yeah.
There you go.
And on that note,
Words to the wise right there from Droid Bishop.
Thank you for taking time
thank
with
you,
us.
boys. Eric,
Thank you
Chris.
so much.
Be
Really
on
appreciate it.
Night Ride FM at some point in time. And thank you again.
All right, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that interview. Chris was really excited. So everyone's going to listen to this, and then we're going to talk about it.
Did he like project and emote a little more than he normally does?
He was really fucking excited. Like, he was really excited.
I mean, excited, sure, but did he speak up?
Yeah, but he, and I don't mean to like dog him out a little bit, but he sort of humble bragged a little bit. It's really fucking hilarious. So, we're like in the midst of the conversation, and Chris is really ramped up and passionate about doing stuff, and he just happens to mention that he's a licensed therapist, or a licensed counselor. And just in the conversation, and then you see Droid be like, "Oh wow, yeah, oh," and I think it's cool that Droid was very actually appreciative of that thing, and I'm I kind of laughed about it. I was just like, "You fucker, just drop in your professional credit." Yeah, just so everyone knows, North Innsbruck is an actual fairly well accomplished person outside of his musical career. All around good guy, all around.
Unlike me, who's unaccomplished in any aspect of life.
Yeah. But the show was amazing, and it's really unfortunate that you missed it.
I know both times Magic Sword has come through Minneapolis, I've missed the show. Because of other circumstances, not by anything else, just because something else has happened.
Yeah. Droid Bishop was fantastic. He brought a different energy to it. He's kind of like the sensual synth wave guy. He brought, he played his version of Who's Gonna Take You Home Tonight by the Cars. And he's a guitar guy, and he sang, and it was pretty fantastic.
And it was him. He took them home.
Yeah, he took everybody home. No, he's got a girlfriend. He's very, the thing is I've never talked to a dude who's more openly proud of his girlfriend than any other person I've ever met. He's just yeah, my girlfriend, she's from here. I met her at the casino. Fuck, there's a million of them.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, which one?
The one up north, just outside the cities.
North? Oh, that's I don't.
Mystic Lake.
That's south.
Whatever. I don't go to casinos.
That's by where I grew up. So,
well, shit, dude, I don't know. I don't gamble. I don't know these things. Anyways, he met his girlfriend at Mystic Lake Casino. He was playing with another band, and I'm like, you know what? Good for you, dude, because like he was charming the shit out of ladies, and he was like, nope, get off of me, get out of here, go away. So, and he was just really a gracious person, and we literally recorded with him until he had to go. One of the Magic Sword guys is like, hey, James, we gotta go. Like that, it was like down to the wire.
And you saw them without their masks on.
Yeah. So it was very interesting. So the show, Magic Sword themselves, they're amazing. Like they put on a fantastic show, a whole thing, the whole like rising of the sword thing. I would say like it's like a D&D campaign music come to life. Like it's epic.
That's a very accurate assessment. I would agree with that.
And it's like an 80s fantasy film, like, Willow or Lady Hawk or whatever, like, but like turn to 11. Like the energy level of their music is so fantastic. But they're very, like, they didn't come out, they didn't meet any fans, they didn't do any of that kind of shit. It was only because we stayed after the show was done that we end up actually seeing who they were. And this is not this is not a diss, but they're fucking nerds, which I love.
I feel like, though, almost just about everyone who's in the synthwave scene in one way or another has to have some sort of nerd quality to them, because that just goes in line with what we like.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is not, again, as I said, it's not a drag against Magic Sword. Those guys are so. And in passing, I met all the guys. The three of them, and they're nice and very courteous and that kind of thing. So it was cool. It was great. And what I liked about Droid was that he's very much into fan service. He signed everyone's record that wanted to be signed. He took any photos that anyone wanted to sign. Like he was really diligent about working his stuff and being very like gracious. The Magic Sword guys. So I didn't. I bought a whole bunch of I bought all the records that were available there. And like, I just happened to notice, and here's a little pro tip if you're going to see Magic Sword, their merch guy is like their liaison, if you will. And so he's up there working the booth. And then I just happened to see like the merch guy take somebody's record and then walk off with it. And I'm like, what's going on here? And sure enough, it comes back and it's fucking signed. And I'm like, so I just walk up and he's like, okay, well, they're getting ready. They're doing stuff and they're busy. And so I gave him the record and I got one signed. I wasn't able to get everything signed, but it's like, okay. And they don't sign it their names. They sign it their like alter egos, which is really cool. And then I ended up meeting them anyways. So that's the fucking funny part about the whole thing. But it was cool. It's a great show. I think the energy really balanced themselves out, and it's hard to know, like, is there another like epic synthwave group like Magic Sword, like that kind of does their same kind of like sci-fi fantasy shtick, or are they kind of their own thing?
There has to be someone else.
There always has.
I can't think of someone right now off the top of my head. I might later, but I'm sure there's got to be multiple ones that are like that.
They're the most well known then. Of their, like, they're the top, the crescendo, if you will, of that particular. And
then you have the whole thing of being on a Hotline Miami soundtrack. So
yeah,
there's that.
There is that,
which is like the ultimate level of.
It's amazing. Like, think about like these guys, like this scene now. Like, think about like you're just doing your thing. You're asked to participate, contribute to a thing like a obscure video game soundtrack. And that's the thing that like gives you ultimate credibility, like down the line.
No one knew how big it was gonna be, I'm sure.
But like, is it that big? I was having a discussion with some people, and they were just like, it's such a niche community. There's not very many people in it. I'm like, I feel like everyone's into it, and maybe that's just because I'm immersed so much into it at this point, which is kind of a weird thing for me. But I feel like there's many thousands. You talk about, the next biggest promoter of synthwave. He's it was like 32,000 Twitter followers, and that's only synthwave. It's just synthwave stuff. So, is that still considered? I suppose that's still a niche community.
Probably.
32,000 followers is a fucking drop in the bucket, I suppose. But still, it's an interesting thing, and Magic Sword is fantastic. I suggest if they come around, go fucking see them, because they put on a good show. Like, regardless of, anything else. One guy plays guitar, one guy plays drums, the other person's playing keyboards, and they're doing shit on stage. They're putting on a presentation, which is really great. And, it's the same thing with Droid Bishop, which I think why it worked so well is that he's actually he's doing stuff. He's singing, he's playing guitar, he's putting on a good show. He's smooth synthwave. He's not the Kenny G of synthwave. We won't go there. It's not an insult, but like he's a little more
Miles Davis.
He's the Miles Davis of synthwave, but more stable.
Peeing in your pants is cool. Consider me Miles Davis. Yeah, sucks I missed out on that show.
I'm sorry for you. I felt like literally the entire time I was feeling like Kyle needs to be here. This needs to be a thing. But
how was the crowd?
The crowd was great. They're very responsive. It was sold out. They sold the show out. They legitimately did. So I would like to see like them with another, like a group of folks and kind of put on a thing, because like they had a really great stage presence and the thing that they did. Like, it's sad. It was in a smaller club. It was for those that are listening that are from other parts of the world, country, they played in the offshoot venue of First Avenue. First Avenue is obviously the most historic nightclub in Minneapolis, probably Minnesota in a general sense. It's where Purple Rain, all the live performances were filmed. So it's known as, it's a historic landmark.
Yes.
At this point. So they played on the offshoot club that's attached to First Avenue. And it's where a lot of, smaller things are done. And it's kind of like the weird stage closet of
low ceilings,
weird. There's almost like a pretend stadium seating. Like there's one little thing in the very back where like it steps up twice basically. And it's just this weird little thing. And then it's directly attached to a restaurant bar. So
yeah, we saw Dance with the Dead played there. We saw them at
I've seen
Street.
So many shows there. I just felt like it deserved a bigger draw, bigger following kind of a thing. But they sold it out, so good for them. That's fantastic. Yeah, you missed it. It sucks. That's what I got to say about it. It's unfortunate. Let's talk about the next whiskey tasting that we're going to go to.
So the next one that we're going to is, believe it or not, with a lot of hype of what we've just been saying lately, an MGP tasting.
I'm really excited.
News today that went out. I don't know if you saw it or not, but
I did.
MGP's master blender, David Whitmer, is going to be there to take us on a journey through all of MGP's offerings.
I am very excited about this.
I'm going to run right up to that guy and be like, hey, answer this for me. Why is MGP rye so fucking good?
Yeah.
And see what he has to say
do
about
you
it.
do, and why do you do? How do you do what you do? It's really fantastic.
So a local bar here, they have a couple places. One is an actual speakeasy, which you have to know where it is and knock on the door and get let in and go down. And another one's out in the suburbs, which is really fucking weird and not a speakeasy. They are releasing a 14-year-old MGP offering, which obviously I suspect is a bourbon because they didn't say anything about it being anything else.
Yeah.
So I would suspect it's a bourbon. It's 14-year-old. There's 6,000 bottles total being released, which leads me to believe that it is a blend between various 14-year-olds because you can't get that many bottles from a single barrel.
Yep.
But it'll be nice to see and go through the other MGP things. I don't really know what it's supposed to be. I don't know if it's like MGP's newest offerings that they're releasing themselves or the stuff that they do through other non-distiller producers.
So the thing I have and we'll find out, but it seemed to me like they really leaned heavily on the speakeasy's name. Like it's the Volstead's.
Yeah, Volstead.
It's Volstead's blah 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 blah, and I'm like, and at first I was really confused because I'm like, is there a distillery now or a brand that's calling themselves Volstead? And for those that don't know, the Volstead Act is what made booze illegal or legal. It's one of them. The Volstead Act, and that's what the speakeasy. Yeah, it must be what it made it illegal because it's a speakeasy, which makes it illicit.
Have you been to the one in Uptown?
Yeah, oh yeah, many times.
Okay, so you know about like the weird booze where they like go through the mirror that's at the table to give you your shit.
Yeah, it's pretty hot. So, Minneapolis, I will say this, Minneapolis has a lot of really interesting, cool clubs and bars and interesting things that end up, and I don't know if it starts out on the coast and comes back or goes the other way around, but it's a speakeasy, which means that it's illicit. You have to know where it is. This place, literally the entrance is in the back of a building. There's no signs.
Go down an alley. There's a lot of trash cans around.
Like you can get murdered, perhaps, going down this alley or mugged. And there's a sex shop right around the corner, literally. And you go to it, you knock on the door, and you have to be let in. You have to. I don't. Do they ask you for like a piece of furniture? I don't remember. There's a few speakeasies in Minneapolis.
Last time I was there, they were just like, let me see your IDs, and you had to pass them through the little like sliding eye hole thing.
Oh, yeah. That's what it is.
And then they made me wait like half an hour before I could go in.
What a bunch of horse shit. That's never happened
like,
to me.
Okay, you got to wait because we're full.
Oh, well, that's never happened to me. I'm sorry for you. And you go into like this basement, and then it opens up into this beautiful, like old-timey, beautiful, lots of oak, dark wood.
Beautiful.
Very dark, sexy place.
Plants, beautiful. Mirrors, tables, booths, beautiful.
Yeah. And it does the whole shtick. It does the whole thing where like you sit down on a booth, and there's this rotating mirror at the booth where you order your shit from.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, here comes your order through the fucking mirror. If you don't know that that's what happens, it's going to take you by surprise.
It's pretty fantastic. And I love the fact that they go with the shtick. And it's kind of it's designed in this like pre-Art Deco sort of...
I fucking love going there and seeing people on first dates. Oh, it's beautiful. Be like, oh, they're on a first date.
I have had many first dates at Volstead. It's like... Especially when I know like that, you know, the person in the past is either new to the cities or new to the state, like we're going to go to Volstead's because it's going to be a thing that's going to leave an impression. Anyways, they've got a lot of good liquor there, but the long story short of this whole thing is that they bought 6,000 bottles, however many barrels that equals, of a 14-year MGP, assuming it's a bourbon because there's not any distinction.
That's a lot of fucking bottles.
But it is a lot of bottles.
And apparently they have something in Wisconsin too, so it's not just here.
I love how they say extremely limited, but that's a shit pile of bottles.
That is. If it was 600, I would say.
Yeah, that's
okay.
That would be one barrel, maybe.
That old, probably not. But then I would say, like, okay, then that'd be extremely limited because I'm just thinking about, like, going to the tasting. There's usually about 75 people at a tasting. If it's there and they offer a bottle, each person gets 75 there. They have another tasting in Wisconsin. However many people that go there, if everyone bought a bottle, that'd be that amount. And then the rest would go to their bars.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't even know if we're going to have a chance to buy one, honestly.
I'm very curious
I don't
about
know
the
why
whole
we
situation.
wouldn't be able to because that's a shitload of bottles. And what are they going to do? Sit on 6,000 bottles of bourbon?
There's no fucking way. But, again, it's hard to say.
But the last... No, never mind. Never mind. I was thinking of something else.
Something else entirely different.
Yeah, because I was like, I was thinking of Smooth Ambler and their old Scouts, because usually they used MGP bourbon, and the last one we had actually came from Tennessee. So I was like, what if it sucks dick? And they have 6,000 bottles of this shit that they're gonna sit on. Ooh, I would shoot myself in the face.
Would imagine with an establishment.
But it's not. It's an MGP, so
yeah, we're good to go. So I'm very curious about how the whole thing. I'm wondering if even 75 people are going to show up to this.
You know what? Usually these things, if they don't get a lot of attention at first, they always fill up last minute. That's what I've noticed with all of them. Like that Canadian whiskey tasting I went to, like no one was interested in that, and then all of a sudden, like an hour before the thing, then the people showed up.
Okay,
it'll be full.
It'll be full. Okay.
And this time, I am slamming those meats, cheeses, and chocolates.
Oh, dude, fucking. And they made sure.
Go there early.
Yeah, they made sure to fucking point out the fact that they have meat and cheese. I was like, I'm fucking sold. Just that alone. Feed me meat and cheese, and I'm a happy boy.
Their offerings are kind of a step up from other people's meat, cheese, and cracker offerings.
We're going to go to an establishment that's a little more of a step up. They're a little classier, a little... like, you know, play on the elitist sort of plane, if you will. And I hope that we get to buy a bottle, but I'm also hoping that it's not $80 for a fucking bottle.
Yes.
I could also see that, like, because they really played up this limited factor about it, and I'm like, 6,000 bottles is not limited. That's like a regular release, isn't it? Like
that's a lot of bottles.
So, and if the master distiller is there, like I might be a
Master Blender.
I might be a little bitch and have him sign the bottle.
I don't know. Matt, we can ask him for clarification.
Yeah.
While we're there, because we have access to him. We can ask the important questions that you won't get an answer to after this because we aren't focusing on it.
Yeah, it's done after this.
So I hope you're ready for all the whiskey talk that we've given you today, which is a lot.
Yeah. It's the last most whiskey focused episode ever done after this. Yeah, so it's exciting. And then we've got another the fall release tasting that we're going to attend, which is exciting, and we'll see how that ends up being. And I heard there's going to be a pile of bottles up for raffle. So
you know what? I've decided that this year, unless I can just go right in, get into a tasting, I'm not going to bother.
Okay, so if they're going to make you jump through hoops,
I'm not standing in line for 2 hours in the morning on a very cold day. I'm not going to do, unless I can like sign up online or I'm already invited, I'm not going to do it.
Okay. I feel like the December 11th tasting might be your last tasting then.
It very well could be.
But that's fair. And I think it's really like a perfect ending for the show and for all of this is part of the reason why we're switching focus is because it's becoming such bullshit to really go after whiskey. If you want good stuff, or even not even good stuff, okay stuff, it's really difficult. And it's not worth, for me in my life, it's not worth the energy to try and chase down every single lead and go to every single liquor store to find potential. I feel like you're not going to be able to go to a liquor store these days anywhere and just happen across some really hot release. It's not going to happen.
No.
You've got the vultures out there that they're gonna go in and they're gonna buy everything off the shelf. And I think liquor stores, for the most part, have wised up to the fact of what they have, either because they're starting to pay attention to whiskey because it's the most important thing these days, or the vendors are like, you get one bottle and that's all you get. And they're starting to understand that it's a special thing. So, for us, it's really hard to stay on top of the things that are really exciting and that are happening because you just can't get it. It's rare, and you have to go into a fucking raffle, and that's once a year.
You have to raffle fucking okay bottles.
So it's not really worth pursuing anymore. So that that's plays into a large part of the show focus. Because we can only do so many shows on just regular okay bottles of stuff. And again, with trying new stuff, you're going to spend too much money for okay or really mediocre or outright terrible stuff. It's not worth it. The whiskey game really fucking sucks. That's what I gotta say.
Yeah.
And I'm curious in like, one of the things I was thinking about today actually was like, in 5 years, is the market going to be flooded with a whole bunch of shit?
Yeah, you'll go to buy whiskey and it's nothing but shit, and anything that was okay will be gone.
But like, is the okay, like, so the running joke is like, and there's actually a meme about it, like Buffalo Trace. The meme is like, their business model is restricting an allocation. They restrict stock and allocation.
Yeah, you'll be doing raffles for Buffalo Trace.
And it's almost I mean, and I've told you this sidebar was that I went to a liquor store and they literally had Buffalo Trace in a case. And then it said 1 bottle per person. And I laughed, I cackled out loud at the place. The people looking at me funny. Because I'm like, that is such an absurd thing to see. Mm-hmm. That I'm like, oh, fuck. And again, other places, you go to Target and there's Buffalo Trace. So I'm like, not worried about it. But I'm like, that particular place is like 1 bottle per person. Fucking please. So let's talk a little bit about future things that are coming up. So again, as we said, this is the sadly but also exciting last episode of Two Poor Bastards, as the show format is. We are going to be the Paradise Arcade after this point forward, and we do have some exciting stuff. We've got some interviews coming up, and then the Watch Out for Snakes will be the first interview under the Paradise Arcade banner, which is really excited, and we're excited to hear or have you hear the that interview. Matt, he puts on he talks. He lets us know what's up.
Look forward to that show.
Yeah, look forward to it. It's really great. I'm happy. And that one, there was no technical issues, so I'm really excited. And again, I actually apologize to Mike from Cat Temper about his snafu. He said, in quote to me, "I sound like Rick Moranis eating donuts."
We should probably have him back on the show in the future.
Yeah,
to make up for that.
Yeah, make up for that fact. So, Watch Out for Snakes is going to be will be show number 1 of the Paradise Arcade, and we've got some stuff lined up for the future. We're going to be still on Night Ride FM, so catch our shows, our altered version of the shows on that, where we actually include music. So that'll be good stuff, and then we've got some Night Ride stuff. So, part of the push or the change is the fact that we're also tied in with Nitrowave TC, and that's kind of taken off. So we did a show. It was North Innsbruck, Denotive, and Night Audit played the Amsterdam bar, and that was fantastic. That was a show that
was a good show.
That really took me by surprise, and I didn't realize maybe the hunger in our local community for that. So, I had very modest expectations for that show. I figured there would be a very slow progression. You go from 10 people, the first show that we did, which was mostly the Nitrowave crew.
We were there.
We were there recording it. We put it on Night Ride, obviously. We do our next show, which we tie into a traveling act, maybe 20 people. So my next progression, my next thought was the fact that we were going to have like 30 or 40 people at the show, and we ended up packing the fucking place.
It was full.
It was
really good.
full. We completely filled.
And even if the people didn't show up or didn't know that we were playing there, were completely enthralled in the performances. So that was great. Everyone's attention was on the stage the whole time.
Yep. So it was a fantastic show, and that is also on Night Ride FM. So folks that are listening, you want to recapture the magic, if you will. It's on Night Ride FM's archives, still under Two Poor Bastards banner, and that was fantastic. So we've got another big show coming up, which is December 14th at Can Wonderland. It will be recorded, will not be live broadcast. I've decided for my stress levels that I'm not going to live broadcast shows anymore. It's too stressful for me.
And you know what? It works out better for everyone who's in different countries and stuff like that. If you can't be up for a live broadcast, oh well.
Yeah.
It will be recorded but available.
Yeah, recorded available. It will be broadcast on Night Ride. I will put it up at some point in time after it's done. Edited to be a little more concise and coherent for folks. And this is the world debut of Galaxy 80. This is the first time he's ever performed live as that moniker. So it's a big deal. Like, I feel really excited that, Micah is gonna, grace us with his first live outing at that particular time. And then we've got another first time performer, Bad and Rad, for us at least, under the Nitro Wave banner going. And then obviously we're going to have Denotive, North Innsbruck, Night Audit playing as well. So it's going to be a pretty well rounded out show. So
It's going to be a tight motherfucking
it's
show.
going to be super tight. So we'll put it up on Night Ride at some point in time. I'm sure we'll have we'll get Chris on North Innsbruck again. We'll probably do a recap show on it, because I'm sure he's going to have a lot of exciting jibber jabber to talk about after that show. So, it's going to be, there's some exciting stuff. We've got another show in the Amsterdam in January, which will be another live debut of Steph. I'm not sure what she plays under. I don't know if she has a moniker that she uses
To find that out.
What I hear is that she sounds like Imogene Heap with like hip hop beats, and it'll be interesting. It'll be good stuff, apparently. So look up for that. And then, 2020 plans potentially could be very ambitious. We got some stuff lined up, and it really all depends on, obviously the live shows, how Can turns out to be. And that'll be fantastic.
Help us make these shows successful. Come on out if you're local.
Yeah, if you're local, please come out. And then if you're not, tune in to Night Ride when they come out. They're really great, and the shows have been pretty. It's really crazy being a part of that scene and seeing something actually grow and rise and like come to life in front of your fucking eyes.
Like an erection.
Exactly.
Just fully grow and rise and come to life right in front of your eyes.
Yes, exactly like that. So that's what's going on there. And then Paradise Arcade, we have exciting things lined up. I'm not going to spoil them yet. But some good stuff. And we're really excited about 2020 going forward. And, again, we thank everyone that supported Two Poor Bastards. It's crazy. Honestly, dude, think about when we started this a year and a half ago to where we're at. It's an absolutely, I could not have predicted what it was going to be, what it turned into, where we're at now.
I never thought it would have gone this direction, and this is what we're going to be doing from here on out.
And the response from people, that's one of the things that I've just never expected. Mostly expected screaming to the void and no one paying attention to it. But,
There's still a little bit of that.
Yeah, still a little bit of that. And just thankful to everyone that's really, latched onto our show and helped support us. And really, we need to thank Amanda the most for all of this. I'll give her a little name recognition there.
Eric will thank you. I will curse you, Amanda.
So, if anyone ever wonders why or how Two Poor Bastards and where we're at now is that the story is that Amanda from Wine and Crime fucking annoyed the shit out of me for 3 or 4 months to start a podcast. And for those folks that don't know, Wine and Crime is a pretty big podcast in the true crime world, and Amanda's one of my good friends. And she's the one that, if it wasn't for her being on my, because at that point I literally didn't know, could not care less about podcasts, didn't know anything about it, didn't have any even inclination that it should be a thing. And she wore me down, and I recorded one of her shows, and here we are a year and a half later doing what we're doing. So it's pretty fantastic, and I thank everyone that went on the journey with us for Two Poor Bastards and the various kind of the slow evolution of what our show was or is and now becoming. We've certainly made some changes and adapted it as we've gone along, and I really just am thankful. There's 64 great episodes for you to listen to.
That's a little optimistic.
You know what? No, there
are 64 episodes for you to listen to.
There's 64 episodes.
Some of them are great.
Some of them are great. They're mostly great.
Most of them are episodes.
Most of them are pretty good. I will take the more optimistic path on this. We've done some pretty cool shit on the show, and I just want to say thank you for everyone that's listened to.
Me saying that this makes people intrigued, and maybe they'll go back and listen to it to prove me wrong.
There's the secret. There it is. So thank you for the the early fans that have latched onto that that concept and really reached out to us. And it's crazy, having fans all over the world and that are listening and that are really interacting with us and appreciate what we do. It's weird. I don't know what to feel about it, but I'm thankful for it. So mostly I want to say thank you. I'm excited about 2020. So the Paradise Arcade, 2020, this point going forward.
Changing up. Sorry, whiskey people, for the 3 of you who might have listened to the show.
The 3 of you that liked that aspect of the show. It's just, a dead end. And for personal reasons, we just can't go any further with it. So that's really... Do you have anything you want to say to the folks for the last Two Poor Bastards episode? I feel like it's weird because Chris is not here, and I feel like he should almost be here as being the third poor bastard.
Oh, guys, you did a really great job. So cool. Thanks for having me on the show. And, really great things going forward from here on out.
It's a great Chris impression.
Thank you. Other than that, thanks for listening to my dumbass say a bunch of stupid shit. There's going to be more.
Yeah.
It's not going to stop.
Yeah.
It's just going to be under a different name, and it's going to be about different things. Well, not different things. It's going to be about mainly one thing, and I'm going to have a lot of stuff to say about it.
Yeah. I don't know. I've kind of this is an emotional thing for me. It's
cry
a little bit on air. It's an end of a chapter and the beginning of a new chapter. Mostly, I want to say thank you to everyone that supported this. I want to say thank you to Nitrowave TC. I want to say thank you to North Innsbruck. I want to say thank you from Amanda from Wine and Crime, and then also Jules and Dennis from Night Ride, and Z, for picking us up, and it's been a huge thing for us.
Now we're more in line with what you want.
Yeah,
this is gonna be much better.
Much better. So thank you, and that's all. This is the literal, end of Two Poor Bastards. So thank you for listening. This is Eric.
This is Kyle,
and we're done.
Bye.
Bye.